Hello and welcome to another episode of the Backdoor Cut podcast. Today we are joined by Kildare senior footballer Kevin Feely. After their win versus Wicklow, we had a lot to talk about. We also had a lot to talk about with Eoghan after Antrim were defeated by Down, sadly enough. And then we were missing Darragh McGurn today, but he got a good few mentions in the podcast. So hopefully you enjoy this episode, and now onto the podcast. Eoghan, Kevin, no Darragh. Welcome to the Backdoor Cup podcast, Kev.
Thanks, Pete.
Myself and Eoghan are happy to have you here. And obviously we have a previous presenter. We'll see if he's going to stick around any longer than this week, but Darragh McGurn is still not here. Still on
the beer. I think he's another 3-day bender on the cards. I'm surprised he's not actually in Dublin.
You'd wonder, like, considering Fermanagh lose so often, like, if they can have these big benders so consistently.
That was my thinking. I was like, we could beat the Northern Championship game. What's the point going to like?
And Sean Quigley isn't even in the squad anymore either. Like,
well, to be fair, Sean defended himself the last day. Like, he wasn't involved until maybe later. He went home that weekend. He wasn't involved later in the week, maybe day 4 or something.
That's when he comes into his prime. But for those listeners that are wondering where Darragh is, we got the message in last night that, lads, I will not be coming to Dublin to welcome Mr. Kevin Feely onto the podcast. So myself and Eoghan can say welcome to you, Kev.
Thanks, lads. Great to be here.
It's a good job you turned up.
Yeah, no, like, in fairness, cause I was thinking, I had a few myself last night, but I still made the effort as well. So, it's just so he knows it when he looks back on it that some people do make the effort. But no, it's great to be here, all right.
Darragh, you're excused for this day and this day only, but we would love to have you here, which is why we're ripping you. But Kev, a good win for you yesterday and the Kildare lads.
Yeah.
A tight encounter. How was the last 5 minutes of that one?
Oh, it was mental. It was crazy. Well, it was a weird game because we had a gale force win in the first half and just did not make any use of it whatsoever. Went in 2 points up and a man down, and we were just thinking, the wind was that strong that 2 points was never enough. But we actually played our best half of football, I'd say, in the second half. Controlled the game, maintained a 3-4 point gap into the wind with a man down for 30 minutes, and then just the most difficult thing ever, last minute, Owen Doyle, most experienced player we have, just a mad kind of mistake, and they get a penalty and we think, oh, here we go again. But finally a bit of luck went our way then. The Wicklow lad missed an open goal and we came up and I gave a lovely crossfield pass to Niall Kelly. He slipped it to Jack Sargent. There, we got away with a win. But like, any sort of win at all was going to do us. Like, it really didn't matter about the performance. It was just the result we needed, like, to just something to build on for the rest of the season. So it was just pure relief, like,
And as you said, there's one of your best performances as a group this year. Wicklow were impressive. Was it hard to play against that team? Like, were they well drilled?
Yeah, they're a good team. They were better drilled than they were. We played them last year in the exact same scenario, and I know there's more confidence about them, I'd say. You could really tell the game last week kind of brought them on a huge amount. The win over Westmeath. They were hardish to break down, but a lot of the reasons we didn't go too well in the first half were more so, I think, coming from us rather than them. But they were really efficient going forward as well and didn't take shots from the wrong places. And I find that in Division 3 and 4, it's the decision making that tends to be the thing that separates the 100%. Yeah, it's just lads will shoot from areas they shouldn't shoot and that kind of thing, whereas Wicklow seem to be really kind of on the ball with making good decisions going forward. So very hard team to do. I'd be very interested to see how they get on in Talton. Like, they'd be very hard bet, I'd say, like,
McConville was saying during the week that that's one thing he's really focusing on with them, is showing them that they're capable, that they're good footballers, and giving them a bit of confidence. And it's quite a young group. You guys are quite a young group as well, and obviously came up on the wrong side of that fixture with Down at the weekend. Do you feel confident going out there that you can take on the rest, or is that something that you work on and you develop over time?
I think within our group, like, some of the heights that we've hit, like, we know that we are capable of doing it on the day, but I think the big thing is consistency. Like I've said it before, like, there's no use in hitting having a big scalp one week and then the next week you're struggling for performance and you're going, right, why can't we hit this? But that's the whole thing, is being consistently able to operate at that level. So there is that confidence that we can go and do it, but we just maybe we haven't been showing it, and we haven't been proving that we can. So I think it's hard to just show up on a day and do it. You need to have that evidence there that you're consistently hitting those sort of heights. But we have done it before, so we do know that it's in us. But there's definitely a lot more work to be done.
What was Saturday like for you? Now, I know in the GA that's very common. Did you know you were going to be playing, or?
No. Well, from Thursday I knew I was playing. There's a bit of a sweat on Tuesday, right enough, but no, Ali had said to me a couple of weeks ago just about, listen, looking at you for back in your usual position, after the great escape. But Tuesday night there was a bit of an in-house game, 20 minutes of an in-house game. Thursday, team was named then, so really right, good to go here. Then even a wee bit of rejigging, even from Thursday, there was a few boys late injuries and whatnot. So, but no, I knew myself from Thursday that I was going to be starting the game.
Down did the exact same thing, in that they changed from the team that was named in the programme. Explain to me why managers do that, because in other sports it's just not common at all.
Yeah,
GAA, it's almost like
you don't believe any team that's going out.
Exactly.
In our scenario, there was a few boys who were sort of last minute doubts. Big Rory McCann from Eoghan, he got his appendix out and he was due to be. It was right, he'll be your starting full forward. But then I can't remember if it was Tuesday or Thursday, but it was a case of, I think it was Tuesday actually. It was right here, Rory's not well, he won't be a training, he's sick. And it's right, wrap Rory and Colin Wheeler and let him be for the weekend. But then he came out at the end of the session, he got his appendix out, so that was him out. But then even we were trying to call the team between ourselves, and just with that one change, there was 4 or 5 different changes that could have happened. So I think it's just even when there's boys in and around the same level and there's competition for places, I think even at times the manager doesn't even know what the team's going to be until he sees what the full hand is or sees who he's working with. So that was definitely the case in our scenario. I do think at times there's just a team thrown out to just tick the box, there's whatever, and then there's going to be changes. But in our scenario, it was genuinely people being available and seeing who was available.
It's something interesting because having worked with clubs last year, it's just funny because managers purposely named the team in the programme with loads of different numbers on different players, and the opposition knows that they're not going to be in the positions that they're in on the programme, and they know that the opposition aren't going to be in the same positions. But then in the conversations prior to the game, it's lads, let's not worry about what they're doing, let's focus on ourselves. So could we all just have a truce in that, and would it make a difference at all, do you reckon?
Do teams have to be in by a certain...
Just a programme
is by Thursday or something, Friday or something like that.
That's the only thing I can see. Some teams aren't picked until training Thursday evening, and they might have to submit something before that. We had it this week where the team was released before he told us, and he was very apologetic about it now, but it was a miscommunication with the county board. But the team came out on Twitter and as we're oh geez, I'm starting. There was 2 lads that were in that weren't sure if they were going to be in, kind of a thing, and that's how they found it. Now that was that never normally happened, but since we switched to trainings on Friday now, I'd say our teams will be mad different to what will actually start. If they have to be in on a Thursday or that, it will be a lot of that. But I don't know why. Dublin are the worst for it. I think in football, there's a lot of hurling teams bad at it, but because Dublin have so many lads that can play in so many positions as well, you have no idea. James McCarthy could be wearing 9 and he could be playing 5 or 6, and Brian Howard's the same. You don't know where he's going to be playing, so maybe it's for that reason, because it does get in your head a bit. You don't know for sure with some teams, I
don't know if Con was named to start in the first team that I saw this week.
Didn't see.
But he definitely was starting, and he definitely was starting in reality, and theoretically prior to the game he was definitely starting anyway. There's no way you're not starting him. But 2 very different vibes after those fixtures, I'm sure. But both of you said that you had a couple of drinks. Kevin first, what was the feeling like amongst the squad after getting over the hump and getting that victory?
It was just a ridiculous sense of relief. It was almost like an emotional release of relief. The dressing room was just we haven't had a win feeling in so long, obviously. And then the way it happened was just so mad. But then also you're kind of like, you know, do we want to be celebrating a 1-point win against a now Division 4 team? Obviously, we have no right to assume anything the way we've been playing in the league. But you also were, you were kind of like, geez, should we be this relieved and happy at winning by a point with a bit of luck, like in a Leinster quarter final, combined. But like, I think the overwhelming feeling was the very much happiness. Like, everyone should hopefully be bouncing going into next week. But again, they're just the same old things are kind of cropping up in our performance that we've thought the last 3 weeks we had kind of worked on so much and thought we'd ironed out all of this, and first half the same things cropped up that were cropping up in the league again. So they'll definitely have to be like identified and worked on again and talked about, definitely. But I think I haven't had the feeling on a Monday of waking up really happy like in a long time, and it was pretty nice. Now I hope the rest of the lads I'm sure, look at who you're talking to. It's a great feeling. But Joe, I found interesting the Oisin let the journalists and everyone into training for Wicklow last week, and there was a couple of articles, and it was like ridiculous detail, like said so much about, it was reporting on their video analysis meeting, on the team talk they had, and like real detail, like if Kildare bring 5 back, we're going to push 5 up. But it was all a scam. Like they dropped off all our kickouts. Like, I was like, just well played. Like, I fully bought into it, and even training on Friday, I was like, lads, they're talking about doing this and that, and yeah, they done us dirty with that. Like, it was well played. Like, they got the benefit of a bit of like getting a bit of publicity around the team, and also kind of threw us off as well. Like, it was fair play to them. Now it was good.
Hopefully it'll be used a little bit more to good effect, because he had 2 journalists down with him.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually pick up on that because I was just looking at the systems of their training and how everything ran. And I thought it was interesting that their team meetings, what we talked about last week, they were keeping it really concise and 3 points and just delivering, this is what we're going to do. Now let's get into the session and try to implement it. And then, similar to what we were saying, all the training sounded like they were training at pace.
Yeah.
So that's what I was interested in. But then we don't know if that's actually the case.
Yeah, but that did sound impressive. I was well impressed with the structure around their session. Like, I thought that sounded really kind of professional, and like they've got some really good people in place there. Like, so I was well impressed with that. But it was typical kind of Armagh style stuff, wasn't it? I've seen just kind of throwing out a little red herring there and seeing if we bought it. Like,
Do you reckon when the journalists messaged them to see if they could come down, he said, you can, but on one condition?
Yeah, definitely he'd have it in him, wouldn't he, to do that? Like, I'd say so, yeah.
Well, he drove one of them down, I think.
Yeah,
so, he could have let them out on the side of the road if he was
exactly,
do
yeah, 100%.
But it's interesting. I think that's the way we need to go, because something that...
So much more access.
Something that I was talking about with Owen before we came in was, again, we're talking about attendances at the games, and people are putting it down to weather, putting it down to price, putting it down to the clash of it with other sports at this stage of the season. Mm-hmm. But if the product is good, which I think the product is good, and the value that's being delivered by the product is determined to like be worthy of what the price is and the cost is, then people are going to go and they're going to travel. But I think at the moment, there's not enough stuff like this that actually gives a little bit of access to the players and lets them like show their personality. So then fans are going and they're not really knowing who's representing their county. It just seems like robots that never get anything wrong. Like, I know he's an interesting character, but like, what do we know about Stephen Cluxton? Like,
nothing. I'd say it's a mystery. I think that's what makes him interesting. Nobody knows anything.
Yeah,
they do a bit of it though. WCV do they kind of they show bits and pieces of training. Like, even that's interesting.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd go through their warm ups.
Whereas or Armagh do a bit of it. I think they have
their media is good. Yeah,
Tyrone maybe, but it should be widespread. Like,
you have to see what carry you're at, and you would just Like, even watching the AFL stuff, like you see inside like Collingwood's and the trains, like they're all mic'd up. Yeah, brilliant. Players coming through talking about what they're doing in a game, and you're on watching it because it's class, like, and you get the. But no, there's nothing there, like.
And like, you're probably more clued into it than most because you're both self-employed, so you understand the value in developing like a bit of a personal brand and people getting a bit of insight into you, because it might reap some reward for you down the line in terms of just giving you access to opportunities. Because like if we didn't know anything about you, Kev, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have asked you to come in. Like, and then same with you, Owen. Like we wouldn't have this podcast running, and people wouldn't be interested in hearing your story because they wouldn't have a clue who you are. So I think players kind of don't realise as well what they're missing out on, because an inter-county career is pretty fickle, as you well know as well. Like with that significant injury to Achilles, like you could be gone straight away and your time is up, and then all of a sudden you're just Kevin Feely, athletic therapist. You're no longer Kevin Feely, the Kildare footballer. And I know you don't probably identify with either of those as the whole aspect of your personal identity, but they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. They benefit each other, I'm sure, do they?
I think so. Yeah, like when you're starting out with the business and you talk to different people, and GPA have different help they can give you with that, and you talk to career development people, they're big on using your profile to grow the brand, as you said. And again, it's never something I'm very good at. It doesn't come naturally to me. It's not in my nature to do that. But without that, it would definitely have been significantly harder to get up and running, I think. So yeah, like you said, if the opportunity was there for people to get a bit more of an insight into the personalities of the players, into what training is like, even like it would mean so much for fans to see that teams are working on the stuff. We've had a significant run of losses. If Kildare people saw that we're actively trying to get better, because they assume that that common thing, which is, what are these lads doing in training? Like, we're doing a lot in training, like, and even for them to see that, it doesn't have to be that detailed that it's giving away tactics and stuff like that. But so yeah, that's kind of going off branch a little bit. But definitely for each individual player to get a little bit more of a profile if they're building a bit of a brand off it, it's well worthwhile. But certainly I don't think I would have got off the ground as quickly as I was able to with the business without the football profile as well. Like, yeah.
But I think it's not really off topic what you're saying there in regards to access to training as well, because one thing that surprised me about going to Australia, as we're touching on, because I think they're doing a lot right over there in how they market their sport and how they get the interest, because they're packed out 60,000-80,000 people every week for AFL games. I messaged a couple of people that I knew in with one of the teams. It was Collingwood, and I said, can I come down? And he said, yeah, come on down, no problem. Welcomed in, went down, and I was like, this is class, like such access. And I turned up and like, okay, grand, I was chatting to Dean on the side and getting a little bit more insight, but there was 100 people on the sideline also watching training that were just fans in their Collingwood scarves, going up, getting photos and signing autographs and stuff. And it didn't detract at all from the training session whatsoever, because the players are still there to train. They're not getting distracted by that. They don't have to go over to the fans if they don't want to. But the head coaches and some of the coaching staff made it like a priority to get over and shake hands, and they probably understand that your fans do affect how the team's performing. Like when you're both going poorly this year, if we can say that, like you're worried, I'm sure, about the stick that you're going to get from the fans and disappointing them. Would that be fair to say, Owen?
Well, it'd be fair to say, all right, yeah. I think firstly it's within the group, like you're going, right, we're not living up to our own standards here, but yeah, like when you look at our home games at Corrigan Park, like you're looking at, how many people can get in there. Like if you get a decent turnout there, it feels like the place is buzzing. But if we're not going well, people are going, Josh, what's the point in going to watch them? And you're looking around, you're going, fuck, this place is a bit flat. Like the difference in a 200-300 people there going to that game would be huge. Like, so yeah, like there was times there last year, like I keep going back to when we beat Cavan last year. The buzz that was for us to basically stay up. Cavan were unbeaten in the league, and we beat them in Corrigan, like, and the buzz of the place, even the Fermanagh game, I know Sean, good friend of the podcast, done us in, like, but even the buzz there, like there was a period we had like 3-4 blocks in a row and like one passage of play, and just like even watching the video back and hearing the roar, like it's class. Like, so when you have that behind you, it's massive for the team. And just the big thing for us, like Antrim historically haven't gone great, so it's all about trying to change that and give fans something to come and watch and come and enjoy. So yeah, obviously it's nice to have them on your side, like, rather than against you.
And we want them on our side, I suppose, and that's why we're saying it would be in the benefit of the team and of the county to maybe put out a little bit more and be a little bit more open, and for us to market the sport a little bit better. I think the GAA do now a good job on social media. I still think the availability and the quality of the highlights sometimes after the games and the access to actually watch the games live isn't as good as it can be, but they're making an effort with GAA Go, I suppose. So they're going in the right direction. I just think it's on the players to actually accelerate.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like with social media, it's probably so easy to see what players are up to, but I think then there's that fear of players not wanting to post on social media, because of maybe what something might be said in the game or what someone else is going to say. But I think we spoke about that in one of our first podcasts. Like it's just nothing actually comes of it. Like,
but if Kev puts up a couple of posts on Instagram, or he doesn't put up a couple of posts on Instagram, and you're marking him, you're still going to tell him he's shite. Do you know? So there's nothing really to be lost by being put out there. And fair play to you, because you put out loads, and you're saying on Saturday you even received a little bit of abuse for it. But it's water off the duck's back now, I'm sure.
Absolutely, aye. Like even after the game, there was a laugh about it after the game, like when we were chatting. So it's just one of those things. Like in a game, things are going to be said, and we were chatting about it last week in terms of like, are you going to do anything to try and get an edge? Like, but everyone's out to win at the end of the day, and some people are going to, if we all do it, like we're going to say whatever you can to try and get the upper hand, like, or do whatever you can. So, it's all part of it. Like, and listen, it's all part of it.
Needs to be a strong character though to do that and be able to take it, I suppose. I think
you kind of know when you're doing it, this is going to come back at some stage, but. I think I said I've been in the position before where I didn't post because I was worried about what was going to come of it.
Oh yeah.
And then whenever I realised it was just me getting in my own way and nothing was actually going to come, I was like, sure, what the fuck's the point? Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I suppose once you get it a couple of times too, you go, right, is that how it feels like? You're going, right, sure, I can live with that. Like,
yeah, I can't do it. Like, sure, like I won't put anything up, and I just can't get over that. Like, yeah, just out for fear of if we're going badly, this will come back at me, kind of thing. Just can't. And it's like you said, it's irrational, completely. Like, but like we have a couple of lads in our team who are getting a lot of abuse, like,
yeah,
because they're going first, like, and they're just saying, I'm just going to stick to my guns and do what's best for me and my business or whatever.
It's been a year. I don't remember anyway. Like,
this is it. Yeah, is it? Yeah, but it is a bit of short term pain, like, you know. That's why I say you have to be a strong character to be able to brush that off, like.
But, and this might, you can tell me to fuck off basically, but Kevin, every time you play, you're going out and you're getting battered anyway. So what? Like, as in, you're coming in here, you have a black eye.
Yeah, but like, it's a tricky mindset to get out of.
Yeah,
to get out of your own head, essentially, that I'm putting more pressure on myself to perform here because of what I've put out to the world, like, you know.
I get it completely, but I'm just saying, like, from our conversations in the past and my conversations with you, I would say you're probably one of the strongest mentally in GAA, and I would say that the Kildare fans would say the same thing, in that they know when you turn out, it's a solid 8 out of 10 every single time, like, if not more than that, and you're performing the lights out at this stage of the season so far as well. Now, not to jinx you, and I know you're going to like poo-poo all that and say, no, I'm just the same as all, but like, what is a few words going to do to you from the opposition? Because I'm sure there are lads that probably do try and get in your head anyway throughout the league as well.
Yeah, there would be. I'd be more so the perception outside of the opposition. Yeah, I think that's what I'd. And again, you're not meant to care about that, of course, and it's not meant to affect you. But that would be something I'd struggle with. Like, yeah, you work hard to create a perception of yourself that is consistent and reliable, and I wouldn't want to put that at risk. Like, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I get it as well. And then the other difference is, there's a difference in terms of age and maybe experience too between the two of you. Like, you've been over to England, and perhaps there's a different conversation to be had there. I'd say there's some things said to you over there playing soccer that probably wouldn't be said over here nearly.
Oh yeah, you get you want a thick skin in professional soccer, more so from within your group rather than out of the group. Oh yeah, definitely the culture around criticism and your ability to take it, and it's very different to GA. You can get now. Sorry, this is 10 years ago. The culture may well have shifted, and I would guess that it has. But you had to take a lot of shit from coaches and opposition and your own teammates in training, and just had to. You could sink or swim very easily. Like, you know, I saw a lot of lads come in on trial and just completely go in on themselves because of a mistake being absolutely, you know, you get made a show of, like, and that. But I was lucky. I kind of grew up with that culture with the teams I played with in soccer as well. Even in DDSL, in the Belvedere early stages with Bows, these were just the coaches that I was used to. So I kind of was expecting it, but you don't. It's not normal in GA to have that level of, like, people kind of coaches basically trying to make a show of you in front of everyone, to make sure you don't make a mistake like that again. So you get a thick skin from that. But I wouldn't have got a whole lot of interaction with fans abuse that way or anything like that. That's probably worse than GA, actually.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's more personal, I feel like.
But it's said, I would say, in GA in a more kind of jovial sense, like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Whereas over there, it can be a little bit more vicious and aggressive.
Yeah,
like,
I never got to that level. I don't think where it was at. You know, League Two, you're not getting that level of aggression. You know, I don't think so.
Do you think it benefited you then playing such a high standard of soccer? Because it is a high standard, even though you're saying it's not that level. And the coaching style over there, to when you came back to football, in that now you can kind of play a little bit more freely without worrying how it's going to be perceived by the coaches and management, with playing a bit, like, with a bit of risk.
Yeah, I think so. I think it developed me hugely from a resilience point of view, big time, and standard. I love the fact that that was what I grew up with. So from a coaching perspective, all my favorite coaches, when I think of them in soccer, were really mean to me most of the time. But if you stick with them, if you kind of come out the other side of it, they absolutely love you then. So it's just a case of kind of getting through it. And then, but yeah, I think I benefited hugely from that coming back to GA then, in that I felt really comfortable driving standards within our group. And I had to tone it down a bit in my first couple of years because, again, it was different.
You used to?
So I had to be like, okay, I can't go in on someone that hard. That's not, you know, I had the captain coming up to me saying that's too much, like, and that's why I toned it down a lot. But I think I've kind of got a nice balance of being able to drive standards but also maintain good personal relationships, which came from the experience I had, I think, in soccer. Like,
I'd say, like, as you said, you're able to dish out a little bit of criticism to your teammates if they're not pulling their weight or the standards aren't high enough. But I'd say you're quite hard yourself as well, are you?
Yeah, that was something I had to be called out on as well, because I didn't realise the impact that was having on my own team. That I used to be one of them lads that I would you know, be effing and blinded at myself. Like, it'd be very obvious I've made a mistake and I'm not happy with myself. I'd be roaring, sprint around like a lunatic trying to make up for it. And a couple of coaches like, when lads see you doing that, it's not good. Even though it's for the right reasons that you're taking yourself, much better to try and stay in the blue zone, blue head or whatever, isn't it? Red head or blue head, yeah. But that took a bit of learning as well, yeah, definitely.
Still learning that? Owen, do you reckon you harden yourself at times? Or maybe you're in the blue zone more often than not because Dan Carter is such a personal
hero. No, I think you're always learning that. Like even at the weekend there, I think I kicked away maybe fucking 3 goals or something in the first half. And
I saw 2 of them.
Oh, well, there was 2 then. But I even just like, yeah, you're just, I suppose it's back on yourself first and foremost, like knowing that, right, you can turn it around here, and it's just that classic case of like, right, what's next, and just literally focus on what's next. But no, you were even saying there about managers and coaches being harsh on you. Like, I can remember back to school, and there was one manager, probably one of my favourite managers, but was particularly harsh as well. Like, and at the time you're going, fuck, this man's a dick. Like, and but then when you look back on it, you're going, that stood by me more than someone fucking giving you a pat on the back or telling you like you've done something brilliant. Like, it was You might have done something good, but he'll pick out the one bad thing that you did, and then you're going, right, fuck this. You try and prove him wrong. So, no, I know what you're saying there, like 100%.
But that being said, obviously, you're being critical of yourself in regards to kicking those balls away, but from what we spoke about last week, at least you were trying to do something by kicking it inside. And it did seem like in your game, he did need to play with a little bit more risk and try something to try to get into that final third, because you were really struggling to break into that down final third. And then as a result of that, you probably didn't have enough shots to maybe go and win the game.
It's probably it. Like if I think back to the last couple of games, I would always back myself in my kick passing, like, and even club games. Even the last couple of games I was playing, like my kick passing would probably be one of my strong points. And even if one doesn't come off, like, I'm still going to back myself that I can pull off the next one. But it just so happened that maybe 2 or 3 in a row didn't go well. But nothing really changes. Like maybe then you're like, right, if the ball wasn't sticking or there was a poor ball in, and it's an execution thing, it's like, right, can the execution be better? But yeah, I think you're right. Like, playing against down there as well, they pack out the defence very, very well. They block it up, and they want you to run at them, and they want to gobble you up, and they want to turn you over and hit you in the counter attack. So you can't just play one dimensional. Like, if you're just going through the motions and it's just passing, trying to get forward, like you saw it there, but what about 9 points or something at the weekend? 9 points isn't going to win you a game. Like, you need to be taking that bit of a risk. And even against Wicklow, beat Wicklow by a goal, and the goal came from a big shot, but just ball dropping into the box and Big Rory getting on the end of it. Like, so yeah, you have to be able to mix it up, like, and play a couple of different ways. Otherwise, just become predictable and easy to be sussed out. Like,
but what you did with maybe the first poor kick pass and the second as well was you didn't get emotional with it.
Yeah,
you stayed in the blue.
Yeah,
and you were touching about staying blue head as well. But you also earlier touched on maybe having some things that you need to work on. As I said, you've been playing pretty well, and reports have been good from around the county. Everybody's delighted with you. Have you been taking lessons from each game, and are there still things that you personally feel like you need to work on this season? And what are they, maybe?
Yeah, no, definitely. 100%. I'm in a new position now. Still learning plenty about that. I haven't consistently played in the full forward line at inter-county level for any sustained period of time. So, I'm working lots on my movement, my ability to create separation against my defender. Especially, I'm not, a lot of full backline players would have super, like, off the mark speed and stuff like that. I need to be more creative in how I get free, and trying to build a bit of rapport with the lads kicking the ball into me and stuff like that. So that's something that each week I'm trying to work on, definitely. Because it's, like I said, it's totally different to midfield. Like, you're facing the opposite way completely. So, but personally, they're the things I'm trying to work on. But it was interesting when you were talking about the ability to still take risks, but also be, like, measured and in control and stuff. When a team's form is patchy, that is the hardest thing in football at the moment. Is like every analysis meeting, every review meeting is like, we need to mind the ball better, but we need to penetrate more, and we need to believe in ourselves, and we need to, and we in Kildare, that is just us every year. It's like, we have a game where we'll have a shooting efficiency of 29% because lads are shooting from everywhere. Our giveaways will be in the 20s because we're trying kick passes that aren't on, and then the following week we will stink the place out with the deadest game, no momentum, no energy, just going around the outsides of a blanket defence, hand passing, taking no risks, and we maybe get 10 shots off in the whole game. And finding the balance between those two things when your form is patchy is so hard. Like, especially, I think the top teams are kind of moving away from, they're moving back, things are coming back to a bit more man-to-man-ish and longer kick-outs, and it's looking pretty good from the Dublin, Derry, Kerry kind of thing. They seem to be bringing the game back to something that's a lot more enjoyable to watch. But down in the divisions, it's still, the games are grinds, aren't they? Yeah. It's tough, like.
You get dragged into a dogfight a lot more often than not, like. But then, like, in that case, it takes 1 or 2 wee things that can turn a game, like.
It's momentum, isn't it? Yeah.
And with the win now, you have momentum. But prior to the win, obviously, maybe negative momentum. You were just in front of a brick wall. Was it difficult to park the league campaign? Did the trip away and the training camp, did that help, do you think, as like an actual break to the season? So then you're coming back and you're heading into championship with hopefully positive thoughts.
No, the mindset there was a big shift in it. Yeah, it was horrible. The league was horrible. We found it very hard to come out of the league with positives, and the managers were doing really hard to bring us back to some of the positive things we did. But it was tough because there wasn't a huge amount to go off, and our injury list was growing and growing. It was just kind of down in the dumps type thing. But no, the camp in Fota was really good. It was a really tough camp, actually. We didn't expect it to be so physically demanding that close to championship, but that can bring a team together as well. Definitely it has its benefits that way, and we kind of ironed out a new approach to games where we're going to try and get on the front foot a little bit more, and I always felt that suits Kildare so much better than trying to be cautious and giving up kick-outs and accepting you're not going to have more possession than the opposition and going short with a lot of our kick-outs. I think some teams are brilliant at playing that way and can frustrate the life out of you, and they'll beat you at that game all the time. I just don't think it suits Kildare for whatever reason. Meath are similar, doesn't suit them either. They're better off doing what they're doing now, I think, and just persisting with that. But we found a kind of a framework that's a lot more on the front foot and will give us something to generate energy, because that's something we've really struggled with in the league, was generating any sort of energy and momentum and kind of go forwardness. And we're hopeful now that what we have going on will help us do that, because we're an awful lot better team when we're on the front foot. So if we can manipulate games to be in that situation a bit more, I think we'll be in a better space. And that came through that camp, I think, in the break in the league.
The question around Kildare through the whole year and always really is, how can a team with such great footballers in it underperform consistently, even across the league? And what you've said there is, like, maybe stylistically the standard of footballer that you have wasn't well matched to the system that you were playing, and it wasn't allowing you to maybe play with as much freedom and play with more risk and showcase your skills to the same level that you're now being able to do so. Do you think that you've noticed a positive change in your teammates since you've maybe had that change up?
Yeah, I think so. But the other side of that, if you're looking at it from our management point of view, we tried to switch mid-league to something a bit more forward and got severely punished. So we hadn't actually earned the right to be more aggressive in our style of play, so completely was on board with them saying, right, we're going to have to give up kick-outs here, because every time we press, they're scoring goals. And that was literally the case. Again, Armagh, Donegal, Cavan, Louth, we were like, right, we're going after them. 4-4-4 press, long kick-out goal, and it's right.
It's hard to buy into 100%.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. We weren't doing it right. We weren't, as players, we weren't carrying out the role anywhere near good enough. So that was one of the big problems, that we had to come back and like you said, absorb pressure a bit more and just try and grind out results. And in the last 3 games, we did that, and at least we were in games, as opposed to Armagh absolutely annihilating us. That was something, but it wasn't something that we were going to do well in championship with. It wasn't something that was going to go and win championship games for us. So yeah, I think in Fota we've hopefully found a balance between getting ourselves on the front foot a little bit more, but not getting exposed, Well,
you're going to get another run at Louth anyway.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the last time, as you said, maybe the aggressive style that you played with, it didn't work out as you'd planned. Is that going to change the mentality you go into that game with, or are you still like 100% gung-ho that, look, this is working for us now, we're playing better, let's have a crack at these because we're good enough to beat them?
I don't think so. We were already relegated playing Louth. The motivation wasn't huge going into the game. It was a lot of lads got game time that hadn't been getting game, that kind of thing. I think it should be a completely different approach to this game, from mentally more so than anything else. But we have to accept, first and foremost, Louth are a better team than us at the moment. We're going to have to respect the hell out of that. And they had a great second half performance yesterday as well. So we're rightly underdogs going into it. But we'll have to. Yeah, I think we're better off persisting with trying to get on the front foot. I think rather it just suits us better. So yeah, I think that'll be the approach we'll probably look to take.
Obviously, you might give me the answer of you take each game as it comes, but does a trip to Croke Park kind of like on the horizon, does that give you a little bit of extra motivation for that game?
I don't know actually.
I haven't even thought about it. So
no, it's different for Leinster teams because Croke Park,
you play frequently.
We play there frequently, and very rarely do any of the teams outside of Dublin produce a good performance there.
Is that a problem, do you think?
Oh, big time, yeah. Do you not hear, this is, in Leinster, this is awful.
I know, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Argo went off on one yesterday.
Did he, yeah?
I said that Leinster Championship is, I think he said a shambles or something like that.
Yeah, understandably, yeah. To my mind, I know these semi-finals would be much better off played in other venues, Tullamore or Portlaoise or something like that. The games themselves would be so much more pleasing on the eye than in Croker, where for some reason most of the Leinster teams get either performance anxiety or aren't able to. There's no atmosphere, so it's hard to get up for it. Yeah, again, they're the old excuses, but no, the thought of a trip to Croke Park doesn't get me going. Really, no, it'd be more so the game itself than the Croke Park element of it. Yeah.
So when people talk about the provincial championships negatively and say, look, we need to get rid of them altogether, would it be worth trialing maybe playing some of those games in different venues to give it a little bit more atmosphere, pack out the venues, sell some tickets, get some eyes on it, and hopefully, by what you're saying, the teams might be able to put together a better performance as a result?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, if they're going to try something before turning it into a pre-season competition, that would be the thing to do. Would be to put the semi-finals in other venues. I think that'd be worth trying before getting rid of it altogether. Yeah.
And I know you're always on the case that Dublin shouldn't be allowed to play all their games in Croke Park, especially the league games. Should our counties get a say in that?
I'd say they probably should, yeah. Croke Park, it's not their home pitch, so just because it's 2 minutes down the road for them, they can go and play there and probably brings in more money. But the amount of stories on Instagram I've seen this year of people being in Croke Park and Croke Park being empty, it's sure, what's the need? On the flip side, if it was a dub, I'd be loving it playing there every week. But no, I think there is a bit of a disadvantage there, just getting so used to it and so comfortable with it. Yeah.
Do you think it affects the Ulster Championship differently that you do go around to different venues and you play in opposition's kind of home territories as such, as opposed to playing in this massive stadium?
I think so. I think there's more. I don't know if it's maybe I think that does add to the buzz, but I think it's because a lot of the games, I know Sean Quigley was saying there yesterday, the championship would probably kick on from sort of semi-finals onwards when there's, some of the bigger teams in Ulster clashing with each other. I think there's more of a buzz around those games, there's more energy around the games, because they're so tight and they're anyone could win it on the day. But I do feel going the likes of Toughness or something like that, I think it does add to it a wee bit more.
So what would you say to those people that are all over social media over the last couple of days giving out about the provincial championships again? Are we still on this topic? Should we just be moving past it and getting through them? Or is there a debate to be had there, do you reckon, Kev?
Yeah, there's definitely a debate to be had there.
As in you want rid of them, or?
Yeah, I think so. Or as a pre-season competition. It's just too lopsided. If Dublin weren't in Leinster, it'd be brilliant.
So when you're going in to play Dublin then, in the Leinster Championship, are you saying that maybe for the lead up the couple of days you're thinking, look, we can have a crack at these, but for the most part, when you're drawn against Dublin, you're thinking, Jesus, we're up against it here, lads?
Yeah, if we had done enough preceding that game to earn the right to feel like we've got a good chance against them, and which has happened a couple of times where we've had a great league or we've built up a nice bit of form and we definitely feel like we're capable of beating them. But for example, going into if we were playing them Sunday week, what right would we have to think we're going to be able to beat them? We've nothing to back that up. It would be a fluke if we did, kind of a thing. So like the other side to the provincial thing is like I would give an arm and a leg to be the team to break the drought of Dublin winning Leinster. It would be the greatest legacy you could leave in Kildare. Like, it would be unbelievable. But I think that's gone beyond that now. That needs to be addressed or a debate had about it, as you said.
Let me ask you, if you played them in Kildare rather than in Croke Park, would you fancy your chances?
We would have a better chance.
I'd rather nowhere.
Yeah. We played them in the league 2 years ago in Connacht and won that game.
Do you think the size of the pitch makes a difference against them?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, they're an extremely athletic team, aren't they? Yeah, so
the more space you give to Conor Callaghan.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah. A smaller pitch probably gives you a better chance. Yeah, I think so.
We're putting it forward to the GAA now. Let the lads play the final in Parnell Park.
yeah. What's the attendance in Parnell Park? What's the?
I'm not sure, but 10 and 12 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
Now it's absolutely freezing most. I don't know if that's just the days that I'm there, but
that's the reason. They can't accommodate enough people there, can't they?
No, as well as that, now they're very territorial about their pitch, so they're probably going to be annoyed at me saying this, but the standard of the pitch is not amazing, but not in that the actual soil and the grass isn't great. There's like one particular patch of it where there's kind of a bit of a hump, which is probably the breaking point, I suppose. But then the hurlers play there all the time. Yeah. So what's the difference?
But if there's going to be so many games there, surely that can get done over. I suppose maybe most of the club championship games or a lot of club championship games are all that. Yeah.
So that's why they try to look after it as best they can, and it is in very good condition most of the time, I will say. It's just that might be the sticking point that they don't want to play. And they don't want to play the football games there because there's a chance they won't win, whereas if they play Croke Park, they have every chance of going and absolutely pounding the opposition into the ground.
Unless they're told not to, they should 100% keep doing as they're doing. Like, why wouldn't they?
It's a conversation to be had anyway, but you're not worried about that yet, obviously. Loud first. So on the other side of the draw, you have Dublin and Offaly. Is like, going by this conversation, do Offaly have any sort of a chance against them whatsoever?
I don't think so. I think Dublin are too far ahead. I think what my thought on the whole provincial side of things is like the leagues are massive and that you need to be getting, like, promotion for us was a big goal, because when you get up to Division 2 playing against a higher standard of team, you're going to get challenged a lot more week in, week out, and then you can sort of progress that way. You can't be expecting in Ulster anyway, like, I don't think you can be expecting going to beat the likes of Tyrone, Donegal, Armagh, say, when you're consistently playing Division 3 and even in the past Division 4 football, when they're consistently Division 1 the majority of the time. So I think the leagues are massive in terms of getting up there, and just look at that, like looking at where Dublin are at, and then Offaly being Division 3 as well, like, I just think it's a very big gap, like.
So what do we think of the Munster Championship then?
It's the same sort of...
Same idea?
Yeah, let's look at the draw, isn't it, in terms of Cork and Kerry are on opposite sides. It creates at least a semblance of...
How would you change it then? Because it sounds like you'd like to run the provincials as the pre-season kind of run-off, just because there is a little bit prestige around it then, I guess, and people get to play Leinster, Ulster Championship. I know Ulster will go mad.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But how would you restructure? Would you just go straight into the round robin groups after the league?
I'm very I would like to see a gradual leading of it to becoming like every other sport of you play like 2 divisions of 16 with playoffs at the end of it, like league and championship become one big thing.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I'd like just
longer season. Well, one big competition.
Should still be 6 months. Like, it would still probably.
So there's no distinction really between league and championship.
No.
You just play your games against whoever's in your division, and the top one's going to playoff.
Top 6, whatever you want to make it. Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's a good shade. Like,
it's like I said, we're the only. Our sport is so unique and it's so special because it's so unique. But I think all the conversations that end up being had around it are because it's mental. The format is crazy, like, compared to any other sport. There's nothing in the world like it.
It's very traditionalist, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd say London, New York are gone though, if that's the case. Maybe not London, but I would say in terms of cost, like, the stats go way up there, like New York. I take New York away, no problem. Like,
but that could be big one, like for people heading away to play in New York, play in London, like, and you could do it like they do in the rugby, where they'll come over here on a tour, but I suppose it doesn't work because it's amateur players, like, so they have to work. So you only need, unlike coaches on a team.
How many, if you win All Ireland, how many games is it?
To win it?
Still 16, 17 matches, is it?
Yeah, 16.
Kind of 8 and 8 maybe if you got to a league final. Yeah, so it wouldn't be a huge
difference.
Increase,
no, but you know what the argument's going to be? It's like, sure, we can't do that. Sure, we're just copying the Americans. We need to just keep our guns and do the way it's always been done. But I suppose that's one thing that we're trying to push is try and do things slightly differently, because the world is changing. So we might as well adapt with it as a sport to try and keep eyes on it. But yeah, lads, thanks again for coming in, Kev. Fantastic conversation. Thanks to you, Owen, for coming in as well.
No worries. The shift I put in there to get up this, and McGurn's lying in the cot.
Darragh, we miss you. We'd love you back next week. But thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in for another episode of the Backdoor Cut.
Get it shared on the Instagram stories. We haven't seen too many shares recently.
No, yeah, keep sharing it. Darragh, let's get a share even if you're not here. We'd appreciate it. All your followers, I'm sure, would love to hear us ripping into you. But as I said, hopefully we'll see you next week.